Oh, greetings, you're with Jono. We are taking a minute around number 27 Fairview Terrace. I'm starting down the back here just so I can show you. Firstly, you're on ground which, obviously slopes down and away the hill. There's a little bit of movement here and there. It's not catastrophic. So the biggest evidence you're going to see is things like this little crack here. Perhaps a little bit of sloping down there, but that may actually be just pure ground level stuff. Yeah, site's reasonably well developed. Again, that little bit of sort of movement through, little bits like that in landscaping don't really perturb us. Fencing, depending on how important to you fencing is, you'll see it's reasonably ad hoc wire fencing around most of the house. Again, if that matters to you, you'll know about it. If it doesn't, well, wouldn't stress about it. It's the back edge over here, obviously, but newer and more complete. Then this one here, they've used wire to keep their carport open for ventilation. You've got your own wee carport garage. I haven't gone inside the garage, but look, it's been here for a while. I'd be surprised if it's not on a limb. No, I can't actually remember whether it is or isn't. Now, when I first came here in 2018, they were just finished doing a bunch of work down here, putting drains and so forth in, just to turn effectively what was garage space down here into a flat. You have this wee space. Now, the comments I'd make down here, obviously, as soon as you've got iron gaping like that at you, it becomes a risk. You'll walk into it, cut your head or something. We don't want to see that. You do get a bit of water set down here. You can see they've put some channeling and whatnot into the ground to try and deal with it. Has it? Well, not really. But again, am I too worried about that? And the answer is not really. And the sole reason is it's outside the house. The concrete through here, though it's not perfectly watertight, is quite highly resistant to water transmission. You can make swimming pools out of blocks. Stairs and everything up here, probably the biggest risk you've got is your balustrades. So your balustrades up there from the deck height are all reasonably low. You've got a bit of wear and whatnot in your handrails and bits and bobs like that. So you're sort of at the place where, in the ideal world, you think about doing a little bit of deck resurfacing and a bit of work around here. Okay, let's go around and up. Oh, roofing. I'll show that from here if I can. The other side, of course. Hopefully that showed a little bit. There's a bit of lichen and whatnot growing on the roof out there. Is it the end of the world? No. If you leave it, however, it will start to break down the colour coat. So in the ideal world, what you do is you get some 30 seconds, no more moss, mould and lichen, spray it on, or similar. You can make your own, of course, but it's a bit tricky. Now, the structure of the house, the nature of the house, is that you've got a house excavated into the bank. Now, do we have waterproofing? Well, yes, you can actually see a bit of the blacking and whatnot down there. Is it how we would do it today? Nope. No, it's not. Is it easy to remedy that? Not really, no. So what do? Ultimately, make sure water doesn't sit up and against the house. And at the moment, there's no evidence it's doing that. You've got a gas bottle down here, 9 kg bottle for cooking appliances. It's outside the house. The current standard would say it needs seismic restraint and everything else, but when it was put in, it didn't. So it's kind of up to you. You can add some features if you want. A little bit of cracking and whatnot through this one here, because it's the main entrance. I'd be inclined to think about probably doing some redevelopment in this space. You'll note also that the deck, you've got quite a lot of damaged timber just down there and down here. Now, it's an old school deck. The way we built it then is not the way we would build it now. Do you have to do anything with it? Not immediately, no, but it is coming. Now, eventually, this joist is going to pack itself, and then you're going to be thinking, maybe we look at rebuilding. When you rebuild, what you're going to do that's different to how it's done is you're going to push the joist back off the building so that water can get down and away. I would probably personally consider lifting that line of concrete there and putting something level through, and then putting stairs down here might be a better solution. You could conceivably put a ramp as well. Decking, we've got bits and pieces of wear, like this one here, so that's reasonably loose as a step. It's not the end of the world, but it's not until such time as someone falls through. It's not in the near future, but it is coming. And as I said, deck surfacing out here, you can see the weathering that's gone on. So the recommendation really with this is, if you're going to do it all in one hit, and when you do it, look at the substructure fairly closely. The timber should be okay, but it's 50-50 as to whether it is or isn't. And yeah, whatever else you put in there, use straight timber, don't use merch grade, and coat it. So in the report I mentioned retaining. Look, it's a bit of a cheat. There's not really retaining in this house. The retaining is the body of the house itself. So yeah, what would I do with that? Say very little. Just make sure that water can't sit against the building. So that little space down there probably used to be drains. Doesn't appear to be now. Okay. Now, we have the benefit of having been through here in 2018. There was some tidy work that was done then. There's some tidy parts now. Silicon on the external grade of the shower, a little bit grubby, but not too bad. On the inside, you can see you've grown a bit of mould and whatnot. So silicon has a 5-year lifespan. We do expect to cut it out and replace it. And when it gets mouldy, is a reasonably good indicator for that. A little bit of extra paint build there, actually, if anything. Conduit around the place. Well, it's safe. Tidy, no, but safe, yes. And extractor fan up there. If you have a dryer space down in here, my recommendation is, as these guys have, use a heat pump dryer. And the reason for that is they're efficient. They cost very little to run. They produce comparatively less heat, which means you reduce your fire risk, notably. Detailing is all very area specific. If you want noise isolation and everything else from above, you can add that by insulating in the gaps and adding a suspended ceiling, 13mm taped jointed jib. That would reduce sound transmission a bit if it poses to be a problem. Obviously smoke alarms. Big house means many smoke alarms. Kitchen space and everything through here. Look, the only real comments in here are going to be around gas, which is written in. Always recommend a gas carbon monoxide sensor. And just the usual wear of life. So your penetration for your sink there is a little bit worn, but has been re-siliconed. It might need occasional re-silicons until such time as you replace it. Cabinet there removed to allow taller fridge. That's fine, you're allowed to do that. Hot water cylinder, we don't have a true seismic restraint strapping system in here, so I put a detail to the brand's notes on how to do that and do it well. Important, urgent, vital? No, not necessarily until such time as there is an earthquake or some such. Lounge, we'll leave well enough alone because they are in there at the moment with a wheelchair visit. Now these guys of course have kids, so they've put in these gates and stuff. That's why the handrail here is cut. You sort of go, look, it's pragmatic, it's an allowable cut. Personally I would have done the cut in an angle like that, but never mind. You have, some accessible space down here to the back edge, and you'll notice there's a little bit of mouse poop down there. When mice are there, they're there. What do? Well, we treat for them. How do we treat for them? Baits. I just bought a whole bunch for my house, so literally, so you just plan on it. If there's bush around, there's likely to be mice and rodents around the place as well. If they're there, treat them as if they're there and buy poisons and use them. Flat and space downstairs. Now, quirky, interesting, of course you've got your services bulkheads through there. What they contain? Good question. Probably a combination of everything from upstairs. Probably the only major quirky point down in here is that your extractor is not ducted. Now, because you're below ground level out there through that wall, you don't have to duct it. If you do want to duct it, you can try and get a duct up and into the bulkhead, but you'd have to take panels down and see if there's actually enough space, and you may well find a flexible duct is too squashed. You may actually have to make a folded steel one. Main board, it's always nice to see a main board that looks like this. It's very well labelled. It's got all the RCDs and everything else. This always makes me happy. Now, the extractor fan does work. One of the pro tips is always clean the grate. It starts after a minute and then runs for a couple of minutes after the room is vacated and the lights off. Comments in and down here, look, they've sealed the edges, so you've got something resembling a coved vinyl setup. Again, a little bit of gunging on the silicon. Silicon on the inside of the shower you don't actually need, but if it's there, typically we suggest reinstating it if it's falling out and mouldy like that is. The external silicon that keeps the water in the shower is still doing okay. Heater works on the heat switch. The one thing up here is that they've used grout on these tiles, so chipping that out and putting some silicone in would be a good idea. Not really a have to, depends on how often you use the space. Running a power lead like that, while unusual, is perfectly legitimate. There's no reason not to, unless... Ooh, I hadn't noticed that. What the heck sort of cable is that? So that's a bit of a boogie job right there. Yeah, I managed to miss that before. I will put my tablet there so that I remember to do it. That obviously needs to be proper 3-core, but it would seem that they're powering this power point from that extension lead, which starts white and then turns black. Optimal? No, probably not. Yeah, it seems to be the case. Ultimately, the simplest thing to do is just remove that, and then you don't have to worry about it. If you do want to put power over there, what are your options? Well, conduit and up and over and down to there is probably a good one. You could put it in the wall, there's no reason not to. Heat pumps, where you have heat pumps, and this house has a few, they need servicing. That servicing looks like every 2 weeks or so you pull the filter and clean it, and every 2 years or so you ring up a service man, and what he should be doing is taking both the internal and external cowls off and thoroughly cleaning the radiators. You're set up so that you can have a washing machine and or dryer down there. I'm not quite sure what this cap is covering, but no harm in it. The nib walls that you see here will help to prevent water coming in if you do get a build-up of water down here, but with the sump there, that's reasonably unlikely. Do remember to clean your sump on an occasional basis. Right, tablet can stay there. Under stairs, closet space is all pretty good, dry. Bedroom down here. Now, this feels a little bit cold, but it's largely because it's not used at the minute. The part that I did pay some attention to is whenever you see cracks like this, you go, ooh, I wonder if something's going on. Well, I ran some infrared over it, and the answer is no, I can't find any evidence of current leaks, which makes me think that is probably either A, lack of preparation, or B, condensation. Condensation is going to form on the inside of this wall, which is strapped jib. It's going to form on the inside of the concrete because it's cold, and then make its way down. Is it a big deal? If we had discoloured carpet and big stains and water pushing off, and that was the case all the way along, then I'd maybe go, maybe we look at that. But I think in reality it's doing as well as it can given the design constraints. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to do anything about that. But as always, keep an eye on it. Pinex ceilings up here are actually quite good for noise reduction. Now we'll go up 2 sets of stairs, so a little bit of an interesting one. Through here, pull these, and if you wish to remove the gates, that's plenty achievable. And upstairs here. Okay, mid-height bathroom. This is the other space where there was a little bit of evidence of moisture over time, and having again tested all of that, it's dry. What that tells me is that there's a good chance there's a little bit of a leak from the window for the bathroom next door, which would have likely been dealt with when they did the roofing. I can't show you from here. I can see that they put some new Tech screws and played with it a little bit, so they probably reflashed and improved that. Upstairs. So, ceiling access I'm not going to be able to get to today because I'm not allowed to move stuff by nature of the job as opposed to because of the people. But there will be something historically in our videos that will add to this. Bathroom they have redone and done a pretty nice job of. You have nice modern joinery out here with thermal breaks. You can see the difference the thermal break makes when you look at that. See the moisture from the outside. That's condensation, which is going to occur when you have a temperature differential. The spot where we may have had our wee leaks is down about there. So you can see new Tech screws, and then still got the odd lead head. I think they've sort of done what they need to when they've done their replacements and repairs, and then the recoat. The recoats actually do quite a good job as long as they're well applied and well prepped. Silicone, everything around there is doing pretty well. We do have an extractor which does function. We do have a heater which does function, and all of our tile and silicone work, yeah, pretty good. Very happy. Bedroom. Okay, comments on this space. Look, again, not a huge amount really. It's a fairly simple bedroom. You will get fair amount of sun in the afternoons. May heat up quite well in here, hence the blackout blinds. Your retrofit double glazing into pre-existing aluminium, so you don't have the thermal breaks in this stuff, but it's not the end of the world really. Bedroom, master bedroom, comments in here. Again, not a huge amount. Your Pinex ceilings, it's Pinex insulate. There may or may not be insulation above that. But yeah, the ceiling space that you've got is negligible. You'll probably find with this house design that you get quite hot upstairs in reality, because you get a lot of solar gain throughout the house, which travels up. Would I do anything crazy about it? No, not really. So core comments really come back to balustrades and everything else are all good for current. Yeah, things like switchgear and whatnot, if you desperately want, you can upgrade. There's no have to, but eventually they will wear. A couple of weird bits like still true wiring in that PowerPoint, missing smoke alarm, etc. There's options to alter if you so desire. The texture and everything that you see here is actually just wallpaper, textured wallpaper, so no asbestos risk or anything with that. I can't see any signs of any ACM throughout the house. It doesn't mean it's not there, but it's not in the obvious places, so very low risk. That about completes everything I have to say, I think. So good luck, have fun.